If you've ever struggled with your self-image, how you look and feel on camera, I have something that has absolutely changed the course of how I create my content and how I look and feel about myself that's going to be beneficial to you as well. Now, it's going to sound really counterintuitive and you're going to want to say, no, KM, I'm out of here. But if you stay and you listen, this could completely change the game for you. So here's the deal. In the beginning of my career, I learned that creating less content is actually more destructive to how you feel about yourself than if you create more content. And it has nothing to do with practice makes perfect and you get better as you go. That's a part of it and that does implement into what you're doing, but it's not the point I'm trying to make. Let me break this down for you. We're gonna do some really easy math, like super simple. I know these are not the real numbers, these don't necessarily make sense, but for simple math's sake, stick with me. If you record 10 videos or you take 10 photos and 10% of the content you're creating is something that's gonna make you feel really bad about yourself, that's 1 out of 10 videos. And if you're looking at these things, having 1 bad one and 9 good ones, you really tend to focus on that 1 bad one. But if you create more content, let's say 100 videos or 100 photos, and now 10% of them is still bad, and we're still sticking with those same numbers, 10%. But you now have 10 bad videos compared to 90 really good videos. So when you look at your content, all of a sudden it seems like you have more that's good than bad. And when other people are looking at these as well, they're comparing it. If they see that hair out of place or that your outfit doesn't look great on you in that particular video or whatever it happens to be that they might be nitpicking or you might be nitpicking, they're gonna have less to compare it to. They're gonna have less bad examples and more good examples. It's the same percentage. That same 10% is bad compared to what we have as acceptable, but it looks like a lot less because there's so much more that's good. And like I said, we were doing easy math. I understand that we're not going to look at our content and only nitpick 10%. I understand that that's unrealistic, but easy math. Remember, we are looking at our content, we're being very picky about it, and we're feeling very down about ourselves. The more content you create, the more you have to compare it to. So if you're looking at 100 videos, you can find ones that are really good, but if you're only looking at 10 videos, it's gonna be a little bit harder to pick out the stuff that you like. We're gonna really focus in on that not so great stuff. The more content you create, the more that you have to compare it to, and the more that you have the opportunity to get that content out there, so people have this absolute list of things that are incredibly helpful to them, and then a couple of things that you feel are a little bit off. In the beginning of your career, you're gonna wanna put your best foot forward because you want to make sure that you're representing yourself and your business in a really strong light. So that means you're gonna put extra effort into it, and it means you're gonna be extra nitpicky about it. But once you've created thousands of pieces of content, you're gonna get to a point where your audience knows you and understands you, and they don't care what you look like or how you represent yourself because they already understand who you are as a person and who you are as a business. I'm at the point in my career, a decade in, where I don't care what I look like. I show up without makeup sometimes when I'm doing my makeup tutorial videos. I will be okay with my hair being awkward or like sticking out weird, or if I stumble over my words. I'll put that content out there anyway because there are thousands of pieces of content for people to consume and judge me on. I understand that sometimes things are not going to be perfect and I'm not going to feel my best or look my best or sound my best, but I still put it out there because the message is more important than the messenger, and I know that people have so many opportunities to then get involved with me and to learn more about me. They're going to see that hair sticking out all weird, or the way that I stumble over my words, or the way I do not answer something as best as I could is a one-time thing or a couple-time thing because there's so much other valuable content out there. So with that in mind, if I could go back and tell my early entrepreneur self one thing, it would be to create more content. I listened to a lot of people who said, do sustainable levels of content. And for some people, 1 a week is going to be as much as you can do for a YouTube video, or once a day for a TikTok. That's going to be as much as you can do. Do what you can do and be sustainable. That's great. But also keep in mind, the more content you can put out there, the faster you're going to grow and the more you're going to get out there, so that you don't have to nitpick every little thing. You've got the good, you've got the better, and you've got the best content. And they're not always going to be excellent pieces of content. Sometimes they're just going to be good or acceptable or passable, and that's okay. So if I could go back and tell myself to do something different early on, it would be to create massive amounts of content as quickly as possible, not only for that growth factor, but because it would help me understand who I was in my content better and make me feel better about myself. Now, you may look at me and think, oh, well, she's pretty enough or she's well-spoken enough, but for me, I was somebody who did not love the way that I looked. I was not skinny enough, I was not pretty enough, I did not speak well enough, I did not have all of the things that all the pretty people and all the influencer people and all the popular people had, and that definitely hurt my ego. And so when in the beginning of my career, I had to do things anyway, despite my weight that changes over time, despite the way that my hair looks, despite the way that I stumble over my words. If you go back and you watch my early content, and I have videos on my very earliest content, I sound very different than I do now. A lot less confident, a lot less sure of myself, and a lot less flow when I spoke. It was definitely a learning experience, and you're gonna learn and grow throughout your content. But the more content you put out, the more you have to compare it to, and you can say, oh, well, this went well, that worked, or that didn't work. And the more you put out there, the less pressure it becomes. By putting a lot of content out, you relieve that pressure. The less content you have, the more pressure it is, because that has to represent you. It's the sole thing that's representing you. So if you only have 10 videos out, you have 10 opportunities to reach those people. And those 10, we really feel like it has to be perfect. But if you can put out 100 videos in a course of a couple of months, you're going to do really well, because you're gonna have more of that out there, and it takes that pressure down. You don't have to put as much emphasis on that content if you know you're creating a lot. So create consistently and sustainably, but create at the highest capacity you can if you want to get yourself in a better space to create that content. Know that creating content is a pressure point. I understand that we're not gonna like the way we look, sound, act. I get that. It's always gonna be a struggle, and I'm here 2 decades into running my businesses, a decade into running this business, and I still feel that pressure to look a certain way, or sound a certain way, or to drop the weight, or to change my hair, or whatever it happens to be. I am my own worst critic, and I listen to what other people say about me and some of those not so nice comments, and it can impact me. But because I know I have all of this content out there, because I represented myself in so many different ways, and people have watched different iterations of myself and my business, they have learned and grown with me. People who are here for me are here for me, and they don't care if I show up the size I am now, the way I am now, wearing the outfits I am now, or something entirely different. They're here for the content. And so for me personally, on a personal level, I have learned and grown and understood how to appreciate myself by creating a ton of content. Because I create hundreds of pieces of content every single week for TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and my website and all the social platforms, because I show up in hundreds of places every single week, I don't have to feel like every single thing has to be perfect, and I can forgive myself a lot easier if I mess up on a podcast recording, or if I can't answer somebody's question the way that I wanted to, or if I think of that perfect answer later on. I can look at the photos that I'm taking of myself where I see that my weight has shifted a little bit, or I wasn't posed properly, or the outfit that I had picked just didn't photograph well. And I can give myself that grace and mercy, because I know the next one can be different. I can look at that next piece of content and think, this is what I'm going to do to fix that. So if I pose and I don't like it, I don't like the way that my chin looks, or I don't like the way that my waist looks, I have the ability in the next one to then change it. And because I'm documenting myself on a daily level, I can track my transitions. I know when I am gaining weight. I know when I'm losing weight. I know when I look tired or when I look sick. I understand when my hair is not cooperating, and I understand which outfits no longer photograph very well for me. I understand these things, and then I can pivot what I'm doing and change it so that it makes sense for what the next step is. Because I understand who I am right now today, because I've documented myself a lot today, I know how I can change that for tomorrow to make myself feel better about it. And because I'm going to change it tomorrow, and there's going to be more content out tomorrow, I'm okay with putting what it is today out to the public. So to be clear, I am not advocating that you burn yourself out creating content, but I am saying do the best you can to create as much content as possible. The more content you can create, your photos, your videos, your podcast recordings, your whatever, the more you're going to be able to understand what you're doing right now and how you can improve it for tomorrow. And you're going to understand that you're going to be okay with yourself. I have learned to appreciate who I am, how I am, the way I am right now, the way I was yesterday, and the way I will be tomorrow. I can grow and change and accept and love myself the way I am, because I have seen myself through every single stage. Nobody has watched me document myself the way that I have watched me document myself. So I know every single flaw. I know every single good thing. I know everything about myself, and I can use all this information to learn to be okay with how I am right now where I was yesterday and where I'm going tomorrow. So if you have the ability, now is the perfect time to start. Create that content. The more you can put out there, the more you can create, the better it's going to be. And if you need to start slow, just create the content. Don't put it out on social. You don't have to love yourself right this second, and you don't have to accept yourself right this second to be able to get ready to do that. You can step into this slowly. So create your videos, create your photos, learn about posing, learn about how you dress yourself, learn about the way that you're speaking, and understand that you're going to grow and change over time. And as you're starting to track yourself, you're going to give yourself a lot more grace and mercy because you've got all this content that you've tracked and you're learning how you're changing, how you're growing, how you're succeeding, and how you're thriving. And that's really gonna help you to be okay with yourself when other people start to come against you for whatever reason, or your brain starts to attack itself and lean back into those old tendencies of not giving yourself that grace and mercy. Now is the time to start creating that content, tracking yourself, and learning how you can grow from there. Keep in mind that other people see you differently than you see yourself. I know a lot of people can look at me and say, oh, well, she's this, that, and the other thing, but I very strongly don't see that. And other people sometimes don't see that either. And so you have to keep in mind that you're gonna get a lot of different opinions from a lot of different people, but they're not gonna see exactly what you see. So when I photograph myself, I know exactly where my flaws are. I can tell you I got a list. I have a list of flaws about myself that I don't like, and it has nothing to do with my weight. It's other things about me that I can pinpoint and say, I don't like those things. Nobody else notices those things. No one notices those things because nobody's staring at you as long as you're staring at yourself. Just keep that one in mind. So when it comes to this, understand where you're going, where you want to go, and learn what works best for you. As you continue to create your content, you're going to learn how to shift yourself, how to move around, how to speak the way you want to, how to improve, how to change. All those things will come to you as you create more content. So while it seems counterintuitive to actually dive heavily into creating content if you don't love the way that you look and sound right now, it is the best thing that you can do because you will really understand and hone in on what you like, what you don't like, and how you can shift things to make it better for you and how you can give yourself that grace and mercy. Make sure you're following along for more as we help build you up to get ready to create your content, to save you time, effort, and all that stress and energy over focusing on things you don't need to be focusing on when you could be focusing on things that'll help you grow more. I'll see you in the next episode.